Well, as Jim said, I was going to do a few songs and share part of some of my testimony and answers to prayer and that kind of thing. And we'll see how it goes. So I'll just do one first song and we'll have a little chat. Upon this rock is where I make my stand. When I'm on my own, be there to lend me a hand. It won't be easy, but I'll do all I can. On my way over to another land. Upon this rock make my stand. Upon this rock I make my stand. What will I do when the sun goes down? I'm on my own, there's not a soul around. Listen to your voice, no other sound. Standing firm on solid ground. Upon this rock make my stand. Upon this rock make my stand. When the tide goes out, cut off from the shore, you're there to guide me, there to reassure. When I see that land in view, I know you'll do something new. Upon this rock make my stand. Upon this rock make my stand. And you hear their testimony that they've been saved from drug addiction and alcoholism and things like that. And I did have my brush with those things later on, but or life in prison and things like that, and got wonderfully saved. But I got saved when I was 8 years old. You know what? Well, I mean, apart from stealing golf balls and golf links across the road, and the funny thing, I only thought last night, this is true, Pauline's cousin was or is the Filton Golf Club's president. So maybe I'll go and confess that to him. The same confession's good for the soul. But or one occasion I remember going to Woolworths. Now obviously there are other stores you can steal from, but I don't recommend it. But I remember going to Woolworths. I was a little kid and come back with a massive box of chocolate under my jumper. And Mum said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, nothing, Mum." And this dairy milk fell out. Now obviously there's other confectionaries available. But Mum made me go back and take that chocolate back to the shop, and I'm so glad she did, because you never know where it would have ended up. But at 8 years old, I never thought it was much of a testimony, but 2 years later, my parents split up. My dad went off with another woman, my mother divorced him, and I felt total rejection. But that simple faith kept me going, and I remembered hearing that Jesus felt rejected on the cross, and he can emphasise and understand how I felt. And but it wasn't a good time. I remember, and that's that occasion when I come back from the golf course. There was a guy called Harry Jarrett. I don't know if you know Harry Jarrett. He used to go to Ivy Church many years ago. Lovely Christian man, very funny man. God to be with the Lord. And he came in the house, and I don't know if he was joking or not, but I came in with my twin brother, And he said, "Hello, Simon, who's your friend?" Well, my little bottom lip quivered because I thought, well, I'm his twin brother. And I think I shared before with a couple of people that all my brothers were really bleach blonde. And mine is, like this, mousy blonde. Actually, it's more out of a bottle and Velcroed on these days. But they're all totally blonde, And even later on, people would see me and say, "All right, Simon, no, I'm Phil, the other one, So I went, and this is seriously, I went looking for my birth certificate because I was convinced I was actually adopted. And to my relief, I wasn't. But then later on, when my brothers became very violent, I kind of wished I was adopted. So it wasn't a good time in my early teens. And, I remember in school, I used to work for a hardware store. Of course, they sold Evo Stick. So all the druggies in the school knew I worked there. And they wanted to bribe me to get them Evo Stick, and I wouldn't do it. So in the playground, I just thought, I can't stand this. So I went and joined the chess club just to get away from them. And all of a sudden, all these druggies joined the chess club because they realised I was there. So I couldn't get away from them. And so by the time I was 16, I knew where every drug den was. It was in Southmead. And still very bitter. I left my church, my mum's church, so I was the only young person there. My best friend, his family moved to Weston because his father was a minister, so they went to church in Royal Weston-super-Mare, so I lost his company. So I left the church. At 16, I got a job working for a wine merchants. So, it doesn't look good. I knew every drug den in Southmead. I'm working for wine merchants where alcohol was on tap. I'm very bitter. The band I was in, the two other members of the band were both on drugs. In fact, one of them became a drug pusher. I didn't know. So I had all that danger around me. And Andy, the guy I mentioned who went to Weston, he went to his parents and begged them, said, "Look, please let Phil come to our church. Let him come over on every weekend so you can come have fellowship and be close to the Lord." And that's what I did, and I'm forever grateful. And Andy's father was a true father. The first father that's what it's supposed to be. And I remember about a year ago, Andy's mother passed away. And I went to the funeral, and his older brother, who was a minister in North Carolina, he came over to England for the funeral, and he took one look at me and he said, "PJ, the years have not been good to you," which is really nice of him. And I put my arm around him and I said, joking aside, "If it wasn't for you and your brother and your parents, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have a life, wouldn't have a family, wouldn't have a ministry." So that was, the way God just looked after me. And I remember when I was about 21, just after I met Pauline, my wife, where it all went downhill from there. But, it's being videos, so I'm worried she might hear this. But I went to a conference and there was someone there talking about the Father Heart of God. And I thought, I was a Christian already. I'd obviously had bad teaching. I didn't realise when I became a Christian, I was adopted into the family of God. God was a father to me. But of course, my own experience is someone like my own dad. So I started to pray that God would show me the Father Heart of God. And boy, did he do that. And if it weren't for him, I couldn't be a father today with my boys. Because I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't have a reference, but I do because. Excuse me. So this is called a month of Sundays. It goes something like this. Take a month of Sundays to say how much you cared. A month of Sundays to say how much you cared. So by my own, I was feeling alone. You picked me up, made me feel at home. Take a month of Sundays to say how much you care. A month of Sundays to say how much you care. Just done. You handed over your very own son. Would take a month of Sundays to say how much you care. A month of Sundays to say how much you care. You knew what to do before you came. Lay down your life. Things are gonna change. You hung on a cross, thinking only on the loss. Gave everything. You counted the cost. Would take a month of Sundays to say how much you care. A month of Sundays to say how much you care. Telecommunications company for 25 years now. For obvious commercial reasons, I'm not allowed to tell you what the company is called, but suffice it to say their initials are BT. Sorry about that. I can see the lawsuit now. Excuse me. I was there for 25 years, and it's funny, when I joined the company, there was a Christian level 2 manager called Alan Seymour, a lovely man. He used to come to this church. And Pauline got up and shared that I'd been made redundant from ICL, who I used to work for before BT. And he came up, and I knew he was the manager, didn't know he was a high level manager. His son plays keyboards, and we used to do some music together, so how I knew him. And he said, look, just fill in this application form and we'll see what happens. So I came to the interview, and there's Alan sat there with the other guy, and I'm thinking, oh no. And he's asking me all these questions. Of course, he knew the answers, but he knows me. So I'm like, oh, you know these. You can't say that. So, well, Mr. Seymour. So it's very formal, and he really grilled me. And I said to him after, so you really grilled me? He said, well, I had to. I couldn't be shown favouritism, but he said, you've got the job, and God will look after you, even in despite of yourself. It's exactly what he said, and I thought, what does he mean by that? But over the years, I've realised what he meant, because sometimes, you say things, you make mistakes, you have a go at managers, and you shouldn't do that. I became very ill, and with a kidney problem, and people weren't really understanding what was going on, because it's hidden, because no one could see it, and I couldn't come to team meetings. So I basically, I was working at home because of that, and but the job I did, I used to run a help desk looking after everyone's timesheet within a big part of the company. That job now went to Budapest, and all the other jobs that I could do from home went to India. So I had to do short-term jobs for 10 years, and I became very ill with just almost depression, because I was just so worried that I was going to lose the job, I was going to lose the mortgage and everything. And I had a year and a half to find a job. Now, I'm dyslexic. Don't ask me to spell it, but there was a job I was doing as a project manager. It's the last job I did in BT. And every role I had up to that stage wasn't a problem. But some of the technical things with that job really challenged my dyslexia. And as a result of that, I was on a disciplinary action, and I'd done no wrong. I was pushed into the job. And they said, well, look, you've got a year and a half to find a job within the company, otherwise you have to leave. And it was really scary. And I had 25 days to go, and I still hadn't found anything. And my manager rang me and said, right, you've got 25 days now. After that, you leave. And I got down on my knees. Now, I don't know what it is with me. It's almost like a musical Tourette's. But in my personal prayers at home, I almost like singing rhyme or a song. And a lot of my songs have come out of my prayers, where God has inspired me. And I remember getting on my knees and saying, Son of David, I cry out to you. Bel Perazim, I know you're breaking through. Jehovah Jireh, I know you provide. I know you hear my cry. I'm not sure if it's Hebrew or Greek, but Bel Perazim means the Lord of the breakthrough. Jehovah Jireh means God will provide. So I was praying that God would provide an answer and break through this situation. And I suddenly thought, there's a song here. So I sat there on my knees and wrote this whole song out. And I said, right, God, I'm going to sing this song to you until I get an answer. And I can imagine up in heaven, that, just says the angels, just give him what he wants to stop him singing. You know, after 20 days, not going to work. After 20 days, my manager rang me and he said, look, you've still got to leave, but it's not so much as doom and gloom as you thought. And I thought, what does that mean? I got a letter offering me a medical pension. Now the union said to me, it's never going to happen. You can't take your BT pension until you're 55, which I've turned 55 this year. I know you thought I was younger, and I appreciate that. But so I shouldn't have left when I did, but God made a way. So this is the song. And actually, to say, just the wonderful thing about that is freed me up to do other things. Now, I say that I did try to retire, and I just worked for Pauline, so you know, I want to go back to BT. But I remember the boys bought me a retirement mug. Guess what Pauline bought me? A vacuum cleaner. True story. But it means now, it frees. I've got a man cave down the bottom of the garden, got electrics in there, and Pauline bought me a coffee machine and a little heater, and I'm a bit worried because I'm worried to lock me in there. But it means I can get down there and I can go through songs and record and that kind of thing. And it also means where Travis goes around playing in the care homes and things like that, I'm his roadie, and I can go and do that. And so it's freed me up in so many ways that I just would never have realised. So God answers prayer. So here we go. It's called Son of David. Now it's in E, and if you like to sing along, please don't. You ruin the whole thing. Son of David, I cry out to you. Bel Perazim, you're breaking through. Jehovah Jireh, I know you provide. I know you hear my cry. I know you hear my cry. Take my first steps, what's up ahead? I trust in you, cause I know you do. Perfect time, help me to climb. Face my giants, lead me to triumph. Son of David, I cry out to you. Bel Perazim, you're breaking through. Jehovah Jireh, I know you provide. I know you hear my cry. Faithful what I can't see, you bring to be. My trust in you, cause you bring to be. Message to message, trial into triumph. Victim into victory, testing the testimony. Son of David, I cry out to you. Bel Perazim, you're breaking through. Jehovah Jireh, I know you provide. I know you provide. Son of David, I cry out to you. Bel Perazim, you're breaking through. Jehovah Jireh, I know you provide. I know you hear my cry. I know you hear my cry. The two things that survived was the piano, the irony. My eldest son plays the piano, and the Bible. Now that Bible was burnt to a crisp on the outside of it, and you know there's a scripture about the Rose of Sharon, and you know people know when you've been near the Rose of Sharon because of the fragrance. Well, you know when you've been near this Bible because you come away and your hands are like charcoal, because the outside is just burnt to a crisp. Even the brass clasp on it is just wrecked, but inside every scripture, I'm doing well today. Every scripture is intact. And even if it wasn't intact, God, you know, people can't take away what God's done in our lives in here. But every scripture was intact. And talk about sort of, you know, going through the flame. you know. And shortly before my mother passed away, she gave me that Bible, and I treasure it. It's in bubble wrap to keep it safe. So this is dedicated to quite a few people. My mother and his mother was like a mother to me, and Ruth and Maury, because they've been a real influence in my life. And one day, I know they're still with us, but and I mean this in the best possible way, they're not with us as far as the way they are. My auntie's in a care home too, and she was like a mother, and one day we'll see them again, reinstated, but better. Looking through a sepia haze, I see into my past. I see things that stood the test of time, the things that did not last. We approve of my fire, strengthened by the blaze. Carry with you things that matter. I see it clearly now, through a sepia haze. Climbing into the attic, blowing dust from the family Bible. I see things that are ongoing, the things that now stand idle. We are proven by fire, strengthened by the blaze. Carry with you things that matter. I see it clearly now, through a sepia haze. Searching through my family tree for that missing part of me. One day I'll meet the ones that I've lost, proven by fire, they counted the cost. We are proven by fire, strengthened by the blaze. carry with you things that matter. I see clearly now. Through a sepia haze. Now this last song I actually wrote on the edge of a railway track. Now this sounds very romantic. You know, you get this image that I was in Kansas or Louisiana or something like that, you know, kind of play, you know, I woke up this morning. But actually it was Temple Mead Station, so it'd be more like, I just woke up this morning. It's not quite the same. But honestly, I was on the way to Cardiff for a team meeting when I was with BT, and I don't know if you ever noticed it, but I think it's I'm not sure, but I think it's Totterdown, I'm not sure, but when you sat at the station, you look up and there's a white house. There's a row of houses, and the white house stands out, really stands out. And I remember sat there thinking of the prodigal son's father, looking at the house, because you've got a fantastic view from that house. Just looking down and seeing his son, and then just running down to greet him. And that's what we have in our lives, where Jesus, he wants to know us, and he wants to have a relationship with us. And sometimes we do get it wrong, sometimes we do get mistakes. You know, we need to keep a short account with him and come back to him straight away. And he runs to us, you know. And so I sat down and wrote this song, only to realise I'd missed my train. So I rang my manager, and God's been good. I have 3 Christian managers in British Telecom. And I rang him, and he was Tony, he was a lay preacher. And he said, oh, don't worry, just get the next train and we'll you know, show me the song. My father's house in the distance, my feelings gave no resistance to show themselves. Thought I'd be left on the shelf. The prodigal returns. The lessons I have learned, forgiveness I don't deserve, yet a place for me you reserve. I've squandered all your wealth, live recklessly with my health, made a mockery of the family name, yet you love me all the same. You saw me in the distance, your feelings gain no resistance. Treated me as if I'd never been gone, and now I'm back where I belong. I mean you no harm, I just opened my arms. I know you've been living wild. Welcome home, my child. I mean you no harm, I just opened my arms. I know you've been living wild, but welcome home, my child.